For an extended period in 2018, the most watched television program on television was Roseanne's first season. Uh, John Goodman and Roseanne Barr brought the house down with their charming, hilarious, and brutally honest performances. Their portrayal of the Connor family, a working-class family, was fresh. It's hardly shocking that the first run of the show lasted for 10 seasons. However, Roseanne, what became of her? The United States of America used to love this show. Have you heard what John Goodman has to say? Our only certainty is that it is completely new to me. Keep watching to learn the shocking truth behind Roseanne's abrupt demise. John and Roseanne's long history of friendship is one of their many great qualities. They became close through their work together and their lengthy role as a married couple. That's why John would always stand up for Roseanne, even when she was the target of rumors. They would have a far weaker bond if the show weren't on. John Goodman had been working for a while, but he didn't achieve true stardom until 1988, when he landed a role on ABC's Roseanne. His character, Dan Connor, was a married man with 3 children and a Roseanne-affiliated wife. He was nominated for 7 consecutive Emmys and won a Golden Globe for Best Actor in 1993. Goodman had to cope with his newfound fame, which brought its own set of challenges. Alcoholism was causing him a lot of problems. At first it was exciting, but then it got scary when I lost my anonymity. Roseanne confided in John Goodman about his drinking after witnessing her ex-husband, Tom Arnold, struggle with addiction. Barr genuinely worried about Goodman's well-being, but her approach was more forceful and confrontational, according to Goodman's subsequent statements. He explained that this was due to her past experiences, particularly her reaction to witnessing a loved one battle addiction. Goodman could always count on Barr to be there for her no matter how worried she was. She spoke highly of their friendship outside of work and how Goodman had helped her out in times of need, such as when she was intoxicated. Additionally, Barr discussed her personal struggles with alcoholism. She admitted that she hadn't cut back on alcohol to the same extent as Goodman, but she respected his determination to do so. Their intimacy was palpable. The real-life dynamics of the friendship between Barr and Goodman are something that many Roseanne viewers are curious about. Barr never stops tweeting troublesome things and then suddenly vanishes. A lot of people find this endearing about her. She should have the freedom to express herself, according to her many supporters. Trump is just one of many conservatives who have praised her for her views. It should come as no surprise, though, that she frequently espouses racist views and conspiracy theories. She has gone so far as to send links to videos that back up the Pizzagate theory on occasion. She also disseminated false information regarding the death of former Democratic National Committee staffer Seth Rich. Authorities have officially labeled the death as a robbery gone wrong. After this, Rich's parents went to court, claiming that Fox News' constant coverage of the idea had a negative impact on their mental health. She characterized her online trolls as fascists and implied that Clinton supporters were plotting her demise. Things between Roseanne and John became much more difficult after Roseanne's abrupt ending. Launching in March of 2018, the show immediately became 2018's most watched television program. It was viewed by 18 million people and received a rating of 5/1, which is highly sought after by marketers among individuals aged 18-49. The numbers piqued the interest of many in network TV due to their high quality. When you include viewers from DVR and streaming, the number jumps to over 27 million. Quickly renewed for a second season, the show was widely hailed as a comedy benchmark. The network ABC, however, would not tolerate Roseanne's actions. Roseanne Barr's tenure on the show was brief. She departed before it transformed into the Connors, despite the success of season 10's return. The whole episode began when Barr made a remark in which he referred to Valerie Jarrett, a black former assistant to Barack Obama, as ape-like. That tweet and the joke about her supposed ties to the Muslim Brotherhood offended a lot of people. Even her co-stars were vocal in their disapproval of her. Even though it was highly unusual, the network decided to cancel a show a week after its season ended. Barr made headlines just hours before her contentious tweet about Jarrett when she criticized Chelsea Clinton, referring to her as Chelsea Soros Clinton. This fueled speculation that the ex-first daughter is wed to a nephew of the Democrat, supporting Hungarian-American billionaire George Soros. But this assertion is false. The fact that this is where the Jarrett scandal began is intriguing. In her response to Barr, Clinton skillfully manipulated the fact. Then, in an apparently sarcastic attempt at an explanation, Barr tweeted something controversial, claiming that Soros had let down his fellow Jews and contributed to their deaths in concentration camps. Let it be known that the assertion regarding Soros is completely false. Having survived Nazi Germany during W. Jewish business magnate, George Soros has donated nearly $32 billion to organizations fighting for human rights all over the globe. Still, the millionaire is the subject of ongoing conspiracy theories. Exactly at that moment, a Twitter user chimed in to claim that, during Obama's presidency, Valerie Jarrett concealed a great deal. It was too late for Barr to feel guilty about fixating on Jarrett's appearance, she admitted later. Even the Roseanne sponsors who were finalizing their fall advertising deals could not help but notice the racial undertones. Despite this, many claimed that Barr was rude and racist. Her character, Roseanne Connor, is a Trump supporter from the working class who has serious medication issues, frequently quarrels with her liberal sister Jackie, and frequently finds herself in fights. In one episode, Roseanne ridicules her Muslim neighbor and makes an absurd assumption about them, claiming they are making a bomb. She calls their house Taliban just. Roseanne's comments received numerous accusations of Islamophobia, which Barr attempted to address on her preferred social media platform. She assured viewers that the show's future seasons would tackle even heavier themes, saying that she wanted it to be about regular people with real problems. Additionally, while Barr was a presidential candidate for the Peace and Freedom Party, she wrote to Congress claiming that the Obama administration was manipulating the Second Amendment by fabricating terror attacks like the Boston Marathon bomb. This occurred prior to Roseanne's cancellation by ABC. The network had previously scheduled an 11th season. The tweets that Barr sent were met with disapproval by many of her coworkers. Adding fuel to the fire, Roseanne placed the blame for the show's cancellation on one of her co-stars. The actress Sarah Gilbert, who portrays her daughter Darlene in both the original and current series, was held responsible by her. Both the show and Roseanne's life, she claimed, came to an end because of Gilbert's tweet. For their interview, the Washington Post sought her thoughts on Gilbert's tweet, in which he deemed Barr's comments abhorrent. Gilbert's tweet, according to her, was the one that brought down the show. The cast and crew strongly disagreed with Roseanne Barr's controversial comments about Valerie Jarrett, as Sarah Gilbert expressed in her article. Additionally, her displeasure with Barr's actions was amply conveyed. The show and Barr's life were both destroyed by Gilbert's tweet, Barr responded. She won't be happy until she eats my liver with a fine keen. The Post reported that ABC and Barr's family were concerned about the comedian's provocative tweets prior to her comments regarding Jarrett. Finally, her son Buck Thomas took action by changing her Twitter password in an effort to curb her excessive use. Talking about Barr, Goodman revealed that he felt deeply about her dismissal from the show, but he isn't sure if those sentiments would lead him to want to collaborate with her again after playing Roseanne Connor and Dan on Roseanne from 1988 to 1998. With the same name, Goodman and Barr decided to return to the show and begin anew. He feels conflicted about whether or not he would want to collaborate with Barr again due to his strong feelings about the situation surrounding her dismissal from their program. After the success of the revival, the network decided to rebrand the show as The Connors instead of Roseanne. An off-screen death clarified Barr's departure. For Goodman, it was a trying moment at the Monte Carlo Television Festival. The head of the fiction jury, John Goodman, discussed the entire Roseanne Barr scandal in an interview. He claimed he didn't feel bad about supporting her when she asked. He recalled seeing the pilot episode. At that point, the conversation veered off course and became an assault on Barr. It was extremely awkward for Goodman, he said. He went on to detail what transpired after that, expressing his sorrow for Barr and his dismay at the outcome. Goodman reflected on their time on the show and said they enjoyed working together. Even though he recognizes Barr's autonomy, he continues to care deeply for her. For the time being, at least, ABC lost a significant amount of money from ads due to the cancellation of Roseanne. Even when it was fading, Roseanne was still the best show to air in that time slot this fall. However, putting a stop to Roseanne was, in all honesty, the best course of action. Roseanne and its spin-off, The Connors, will be remembered for the love and humor they brought to fans during difficult times that many could relate to. Family comes first, love is central, and humor is key. We would be hopeless without humor, he added. John Goodman's friendship with Roseanne is significantly affected by his early acting struggles. At the age of 23, John Goodman relocated from St. Louis after borrowing $1,000 from his elder brother from his hometown of St. Louis, Missouri, to the Big Apple in pursuit of his acting ambitions. Near Manhattan's theater district, he and his girlfriend rented a tiny room. Goodman would spend his days scouring the city for auditions since he did not have an agent or any connections in the industry. Due to his limited financial resources, there were instances when he went days without a decent meal. Despite these setbacks, he persisted for 2 years, working odd jobs at various bars to make ends meet. He was able to establish a reliable source of income after being discovered by an advertising firm. Roseanne, in which Goodman starred for nearly a decade, catapulted her to fame in the 1980s. His worries about money and finding work have been completely gone ever since. His meteoric climb to stardom wasn't without its share of negative aspects, though. People would recognize John Goodman simply by his presence in New York City, thanks to the tabloid's penchant for getting him into trouble. A major turning point in his 30-year battle with alcoholism occurred at this time. He and his family continued to reside in California despite Roseanne's ever-increasing popularity. I didn't want my new daughter to grow up in that kind of environment, and he hated how the reporters were always staring at him. For reasons including being sick of show business, fame, and tabloid stories, he relocated to Louisiana, where he could be near his wife's family and away from the drama in the media. In hindsight, he sees it as a wise decision. Goodman, on the other hand, has been completely sober for 30 years prior to 2007, when he first stopped using drugs and alcohol. Going easy has never been an option. Many nights, he said, he would fantasize about a whiskey. Goodman continued by explaining that he needs immediate gratification from his work and alcohol. He struggled with poor self-esteem and lived in constant fear of falling flat on his face. Most of the things that annoy John Goodman can be avoided when he is at home with his family. He experiences anxiety whenever he is required to depart for filming or performing in a theater. Goodman used to be extremely overweight, as the headlines frequently state. At one point, he weighed nearly 400 pounds. Now that he's sober, he gets his workouts in on the treadmill or the ring. He has come a long way from his heavy drinking days. He is now 6 feet tall and weighs about 250 pounds. The theater keeps him active and occupied, which is one of the reasons he enjoys it so much, he says. The additional strain on his joints was too much to bear. Since then, he has stopped drinking and undergone 2 knee replacements, indicating that his health has taken precedence. One of my favorite things about John Goodman is that he isn't ashamed to admit he drinks. Despite being aware that it is an inherent part of him, he is eager to rid himself of it. Over the course of her life, Roseanne dealt with a great deal of difficulty. Her very traditional Jewish maternal grandma brought her up in a strict household. A family of Jewish refugees raised her. Her family was obviously dealing with a great deal of anxiety, misinformation, confusion, and unavoidable, intense stress. Many forms of torture and abuse were inflicted upon Roseanne, in addition to those that originated within the family. According to multiple accounts, her parents subjected her to abuse. She and her brothers were victims of her father's disturbing behavior, but their mother did little to stop him, likely due to her own history of abuse. The horrific details of her abuse reveal how she developed numerous personas, which is incredibly disturbing. In a 1991 interview with People magazine, Roseanne Barr discussed sensitive and painful aspects of her life. Until she ran away from home at the age of 17, she claims her father subjected her to terrible treatment and abuse. Because his actions were so distressing and stressful, Barr said that they had left a profound psychological scar. Roseanne Barr had a lot of mental issues, which made her adolescent years extremely difficult and distressing. At the age of 16, she attempted suicide by jumping in front of a moving car, injuring her brain. A mental institution held her for the subsequent 9 months. It was during her stay that Barr had a child, whom she later chose to adopt. Are legitimate concerns regarding the difficulties she encountered during her hospitalization and recovery period, given that she became pregnant during this. John Goodman continues to thrive in the acting world, and he and his wife and dogs lead active, happy lives in New Orleans. Parts in The Connors and The Righteous Gemstones are among his many current acting engagements. Additionally, he appears in Godzilla and Kong. Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. Additionally, he is preparing for his upcoming role in Judy, starring Tom Cruise and directed by Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu. The devastating fires that swept through Los Angeles in early January 2025 obliterated John's beloved Pacific Palisades home. The remnants of his house, which consisted of a jumble of trees and downed power lines, can be seen in images taken on January 8th. He may not have been in town when the order to leave was issued because he and his wife Beth split their time between Los Angeles and New Orleans. Meanwhile, Roseanne Barr appears to believe that 3 years is sufficient time for individuals to disregard her previous issues. Soon in the year 2023, Fox News sister network Fox Nation will air a stand-up special titled A Roseanne Comedy Special. For her comeback, she plans to use it. It has been 16 years since her last stand-up performance. Along with this new venture, the platform will feature A-listers like Piers Morgan, Kevin Costner, Sharon Osbourne, and Kelsey Grammer. Word on the street is that it's a hilarious take on many topics.